Nowadays, woman them too kalu kalu.
Hey, bona laya kalu kalu. Nowadays, man them living kalu kalu.
Now the woman them kalu kalu.
Now the man them kalu kalu.
Famul them who no tell me kalu kalu. Who da really pass my door. And the woman them kalu kalu. Nowadays, woman them too kalu kalu.
Hey, bona laya kalu kalu. Nowadays, man them kalu kalu.
Now the woman them kalu kalu.
Now the man them kalu kalu.
Famul them who no tell me kalu kalu. Who da really pass my door.
No, we need to keep them.
Now we demand them. Now we demand them. I said now we demand them.
Gonna lie, you the lie, but now we the girls them. Now we the girls them really, really homeless. You don't keep me, you keep back me friend. When I talk, I'm ready for me.
Actually, Salafu and I was actually walking down through the street and was getting to buy some supplies. And the way I remembered is Salafu had taken some bread, so I paid for the bread. And I learned that he wasn't in school, so I put him in school, and he came after school to do some work, to help around the house. One thing led to another. He ended up moving in with me.
I was getting bread from a bakery, and Steve met me, and by then I was also sick. I had a wound on my stomach, and all this accomplished Steve to love me. I have no one to, take care of me. My families were very poor.
His mother had passed away. He lived with me for about 2.5 years, continued his education. So he was like my son for 2.5 years. Actually, he still is.
One of the problems we have in learning here is the Creole. But when the Peace Corps came, they spoke pure English. And that made us also be able to speak good English. For now, that time is better than now. Now, most of our students cannot speak better English as we did before when they were in our midst.
When I went to school, my father drove me out of the house by saying that I will not go to school because I'm the only his son to work for him on his farm. So if I go to school, I will not stay here again. I will go far away from him. So he sent me out of his house.
A lot of people don't have the opportunity to go to school. They may have to work in the fields and in the farms or whatever. So a number of the students may go to school for 1 year, be out 1 year. So they attend school when they can or when they can afford it. So a number of the students were older. Some of the students in class 4 and class 5 are 18, 19 years old. They were almost my age. But they wanted to go to school. They saw the value of education. And like Koto was saying is that, he was older. When he started school, he was quite old. But he saw the value of education and came. He was one of my bigger students. He was much taller than any of the others. Probably about 10 years there that, during the Civil War that there was no contact. I didn't know. There was so much turmoil here and the internet resources weren't there. And so it was almost impossible. I would try and watch the news, and the only news out of Sierra Leone then was bad news. And I was worried, we heard about all the amputations and all the killing, that I wasn't sure that he was able to survive that or avoid that.
Let me express something. It's an universal happiness I had, because imagine when you lose contact with someone for such years and you get it again, it's an universal happiness I had to regain. I had to think that I'm back with Steve, even though I couldn't see him, but I was very, very happy. And my children, my family, my wife, they were very, very happy.
50 years after the start of Peace Corps and 50 years since Sierra Leone's independence, Cruz returned to Bafodia not only to renew old friendships, but to help the school where he once taught.
I've thought about Bafodia for 40 years now, that someday I would have a chance to return. And then plus I came back because We brought supplies for the school kids, Salifu and I, and I'd like to see that, you know, anybody that wants to school would have a chance to go to school. So the plan is to try and offer some scholarships for children to start school.
We have come back to help the people of Bafodia by providing the school with books, and the state is also determined to have few scholarships for some of the pupils.
It seems very natural. You know, I was pretty anxious about coming back on what I would experience, but it's like I never left. It's very comfortable. This is home. Grew up in Kansas, live in Tennessee, and all of a sudden you have an exposure to, there's a whole world out there, a huge world. And places like this become like your second home.
It's questionable. If you like, cannot took it. If you not, leave it.
I want you to know that we are blessed. We want road, one education, one agriculture, one the health. To Bama to help with. Otherwise, without health, you cannot have work.
It's difficult. It's difficult. Really.